Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, good morning. Morning. Debbie is here with us from Senior Services of Southeastern Virginia, and she wanted to take a few moments to speak and thank the task force for, I believe, our donations. So
Yes.
Debbie, take it away.
I will. I won't make it long because I'm looking forward to your speaker today too. I just wanted to thank you all for, you've been so generous all year, and we really appreciate it. And the funds are going to be used for our continued emergency response in Norfolk for meals, emergency needs for seniors. We just thank you guys for being such a constant partner to us.
Well, we are absolutely happy to assist such a great organization, and honestly, all the organizations we've supported throughout the years have been well-deserving organizations. So we're happy to do so, and look forward to doing more, hopefully in 2021.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
And I'm going to ask all of you to help us do that by asking somebody that you know that isn't a member of this group that services Norfolk or lives in Norfolk to attend one meeting. And if they enjoy it, then hopefully they can become members. So we would really like to be able to continue things. And I mean, this is jumping the agenda a little bit, but this is the 45th anniversary of Norfolk Task Force on Aging.
Wow.
And in May, we will be honoring some of the founding members and past chairs and board members. And Steve Zolos of Senior Services of Southeastern Virginia is going to be speaking as well. So it would be a great opportunity to have others join us. So with that being said, yes, we're looking forward to it. And we're also hoping to bring back the educational scholarship this year too. So to do all those things, we need members to drive our revenue so we can support Norfolk as much as we can. So quickly, if we could, we're going to do introductions. And to make this easy, I'm just going to go across my screen. So, but George does have a presentation to do, and we do have some new business later in the meeting to talk about. So if you all would try to keep it brief, announcements we can do at the end, or you can always email me announcements to be included in our newsletter. My email address is in the chat to be used for that. So let's start with, let's see, we'll start with April. If she's, there we go. April, we can't hear you. Well, that's okay. Then we will come back to you, April. And if we don't work it out, then I will make sure to tell everybody who you're with and represent. All right, let's go with Kate.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. My name is Kate Powell. I'm the Executive Director with Tidewater Arts Outreach. We bring arts programs to older adults and those in isolating circumstances, and we're really here to enhance your care environment. So if you would like to learn more information about that, always hit me up. It's kate@tidewaterartsoutreach.org.
Excellent. Thank you, Kate. We appreciate that. Debbie has already gone, so we will go to Micah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Micah Hunt. I'm the furthest one in the room. If you get it, I'm the furthest. Anyway, so I work for Garrett Realty Partners. I help seniors downsize as a free service to help them with the process of transitioning. And then I also serve as the president and chair of the Virginia Beach Task Force and many other things, which would be a very long list, and I would take up everybody's time. So I'll leave it at that.
Appreciate you, Micah. Erica stepped away, so, and George is going to be introduced in just a few minutes. Nanette.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nanette Burke-Bickler. I am with SeniorLivingGuide.com. We have a publication in Hampton Roads as well as Central Virginia. And we also host the annual case manager social worker appreciation luncheon, which we are going to be having in mid-April. So looking forward to it.
And there's sponsorship information in the weekly announcements if you guys are interested in that.
Thank
Bob?
you.
Bob Batcher, the Executive Director for Prime Plus Senior Centers, and you'll hear more from me in a moment.
All right, Reverend Stanley.
I am Reverend Stanley, Compassion Advocacy Network. We put compassion into action in June. We will be celebrating 20 years of doing community service all throughout Hampton Roads, and we're so proud to be part of the Norfolk Task Force on the Aging. God bless.
Happy to have you. And Mikkel.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Mikkel Rappaport. I'm the owner and senior care consultant for Golden Lifestyle Partners. We specialize in senior living placement and referral services and serve all of Hampton Roads. So if you know anyone who is interested in locating a senior living community in Hampton Roads, please let me know.
Wonderful, thank you. Erica?
Hello, sorry about that. I heard you call my name, had to step away really quick.
That's
So
okay.
my name is Erica Jones, and I'm the CEO of Silvercare LLC here in Norfolk, where we provide personal care services to the seniors and the disabled. We're also going into behavioral health, so we'll be providing supportive in-home care pretty soon. So glad to see, be here today. So thank you.
Happy to have you. Thank you. It's nice to have another home care provider in the group. Mary?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Mary Doris. I'm with Frida H. Gordon Hospice and Palliative Care. The name speaks for itself. We do have a home-based palliative care program to our traditional hospice service. And we do have a CEU event coming up for Social Work Month in March on advanced directives, and thank you, Brandy, for sending that out. It is in the announcement email, so hopefully any social workers, and it also has a CEU for nurses as well, but with Social Work Month, we're kind of pushing it as our little thank you to social workers. So if anyone needs a CEU, please feel free to attend.
Wonderful, wonderful, thank you. We just had Tanisha join us, and Tanisha has not been with us for some time. Tanisha, would you like to quickly introduce yourself?
Hey, good morning. I'm Tanisha Newman, founder of the Newman Fitness Foundation. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here, Tanisha. And now board members. So we'll start with Amy Chewy.
Hello, I'm Amy Chewy. I work for Ideal Organizing and Design, and we are Senior Move Management certified. We can help seniors move into a new community or within the community, and we also do professional organizing and interior design.
Wonderful. Iris?
Good morning. Iris James, Community Outreach Representative for Senior Services of Southeastern Virginia. We are your area agency on aging. We serve all of Southampton Roads and Western Tidewater. Glad to be here today.
Thank you, Iris. And Hope?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Hope Lomax Jones. Been the VP for some years now, and I'm with AACS Business Consulting. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. And again, my name is Brandy Smith. I'm the chairperson as well as the Director of Operations for Comfort Keepers in Virginia Beach, non-medical in-home care that focuses on elevating the human spirit. Without ado, we will get started. So Bob, if you would please introduce us quickly to George.
Sure. We're going to kind of do a transitional introduction. I had committed to be the speaker back several months ago, and decided that I would bring in a ringer who was more qualified than me. George and I go way, way, way back. When he was the executive director for Community Services Board, I was the communications guy for the city of Norfolk, covering his rear. No, he was doing great stuff as an executive director, but also a college professor at ODU. I got blessed when I was able to recruit some new board members, and I recruited George as a board member about 2 years ago. And ever since he's been on the board, he has called me and tried to resign because he's not qualified to be on the board. However, since he's been on the, yeah, you could relate, Brandy. Since he's been on the board, we now have engaged board that interacts with each other and with me. We also have several new board members that he recruited from the university. So we have we now have a new organization called the Academic Collaborative, which is a place where a representative from every one of our universities in Norfolk can come together and really look at how can we be creative and think outside the box and create a new vision for servicing our seniors. So I think you'll hear a lot more coming from that. I think the reason why George keeps saying that he's not quite qualified, his background is kind of in a different, very specific type approach to brain and mental illness, and not necessarily into the broader base of the human condition and working with seniors. But what's been exciting about George is his challenge to think outside the box, to think differently. And I can honestly say that he will be a tremendous addition to your introduction to my sock drawer at the last meeting. And George was one of my first guests on Primetime with Bob a year ago, not quite a year ago, when we were dealing with COVID as it's the hurricane of the season. You know, it'll blow through here. We'll get a handle on it. We'll be back to business and blue skies, right? Remember those days? Everybody closed for 2 weeks. And here we are almost a year later. So what I've asked George to do is kind of engage with me, not necessarily in a Q&A, but I'm going to just kind of toss him one. George, when you first talked with me about COVID, I was in the back deck. I was on my sunroom because I was working remotely. And when I asked you my first question, you immediately threw me into a counseling session, a therapy session, because we were talking about getting through the loneliness. And you talked about reaching out, that I was actually lonely and I was reaching out by talking to you very publicly. A few weeks ago, you and I talked again, and we were talking about my sock drawer and finding that joy. But how do you cope through this whole very long unknown hurricane that we're in? Take it away.
Okay, thanks, and hello to everybody. Good to see you all on such a gloomy day outside, but I will take this even further. Let me add just a little bit about my background. I ended up, I got my doctorate in counseling psychology from the University of Virginia. And my dissertation, I've always been interested in how people go about learning positive things. How do we go about staying healthy? How do we learn the things to make our lives better? I was a professor at Old Dominion University for 12 years with tenure, walked away to do some clinical work with the Community Services Board and stayed there 22 years, retired from there, was invited back to ODU for another 10 years, retired from that, and that's when Bob got a hold of me. So I've, ironically, my work with the Community Services Board was with the seriously mentally ill and with people with serious addiction. So when Bob asked me to be on the board, I ended up saying, this is not a population that I work with, although I am the population that you work with. But throughout my whole career, one of the things I've tried to do is stay up with what's going on with an area of psychology called positive psychology. We now know a great deal about how to stay mentally healthy. Typically in medicine in the past, we've waited until people got sick or had serious symptoms in order to intervene. But for the last 15 years or so, a lot of insurance companies have taken a wellness approach. Anybody who has Medicare will know that there's Advantage plans, and Advantage plans are designed to help people stay healthy. That's what Silver Sneakers is all about. I mean, they know that if we can do something to prevent illness, then it reduces the overall cost. And so one of the things that I've been talking with Bob about is and I've been looking at some of the research that's out there, is how do we go about applying things that we know work to help people through this transition of isolation and with COVID and that sort of thing. So in the discussions with Bob, one of the things that we talked about was what can we do to help people whose lives have changed as a result of COVID, being isolated, being alone, and that sort of thing. And from a general standpoint, one of what we need to know is that everything that we know, by the way, let me preface this by saying one of the things that we know from all kinds of studies is that just having information doesn't change behavior. That's an important thing to understand. Just knowing something doesn't usually change behavior. We know that we all need to exercise. We know that we need to cut out fried foods. We know that we may need to lose some weight. Although during the isolation time, I have lost 4 pounds. I don't think that everybody can say that, Bob. So one of the things that we need to know is not only what we need to do, but how do we go about implementing these kinds of things. And so just want to, from general standpoint, everything that we know that is good physically for us is good for our brain. Keep in mind that our body and our brain is the same thing. Okay, our body and brain is the same thing. So if we exercise, it helps our body muscles, but it also stimulates the blood system, it reduces inflammation, and all of that goes to the brain itself. I was just reading something the other day. Brain is something like 2% of the weight of the body, but it uses 20% of all the oxygen that is generated through our lungs and into our blood. We have to keep that circulation going. So everything that we know about eating right, getting exercise, and that sort of applies to how to have a healthy brain. So let me give you a couple of suggestions. One of the important things to stay emotionally healthy is that we can do is to tell people to start off every morning when you wake up, say something that you're grateful for. What we know is that it reduces the kinds of hormones that are related to inflammation, with pain in the body and that sort of thing. For example, we look outside today and it is a horrible day. I've got flooding in my backyard. I've got a pump going over there. I live in one of the low areas over in West Ghent. I have to pump this water out, but it's going to be beautiful tomorrow. And so one of the things that we can always do is find something every single morning to start off and say, what am I grateful for today? I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for you guys. We can find those things and start applying them. One of the things that we can do is limit the amount of bad news that we watch on television. I remember I was the executive director at the CSB during 9/11, and the staff in the administration building were just glued to the television, and all you could see were those planes going into the towers over and over and over again. And finally, I went in and I said, "Folks, we're turning the TV off. This is not going to get any better. Let's look at what we can find that is wonderful. What is going on? All of these people that are volunteering to help others doing this. Let's focus on that kind of thing, not the planes going into the towers over and over and over again." Research has shown that we are actually very energized by these kinds of traumatic kinds of things, and we don't turn into the positive nearly as well as we do the negative. But we can control that, just like we can control the kind of foods that we eat, getting exercise, movement, those kinds of things. We can control that, and we can also control the things that we are putting into our emotional state as well. Mindfulness, just being in the presence. One of the things that is really very, very important, and I've read some stuff about sedentary lifestyle, where we sit in our chairs like this hour after hour after hour. It is absolutely important every 20 or 30, 40 minutes, get up and walk around. You don't have to go do a lot of sit-ups, although more sit-ups you can do, the better off you are. But sitting and not moving means that the muscles are not being activated. And just getting up and walking around every 30 minutes or 45 minutes or something like that actually makes those muscles move, means that the blood is flowing through and is actually working your heart much more than you would realize. Another thing to do is every couple of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes or something like that, do deep breathing all the way down. Really breathe it in, expand your chest. What that does is and do that just maybe 3 or 4 or 5 times. What that does is it makes the blood really circulate through the body and through the brain, so that we don't end up with a stagnant kind of blood flow throughout the body. You'd be amazed at how much oxygenation just those 5 breaths will take. And these are things that, you know, seniors, I have a chronic back problem. It is very easy for me just to sit. I mean, to get up and move around hurts sometimes. And so one of the things that I can do is force me to take those deep breaths, making it a habit. One of the things I did for another organization was, how do we make and break habits? Well, you do that by intentionally doing repetitive activities. Trying harder almost never works to change something. You have to learn to do something different. Make a note to yourself. If you're going to be in front of this computer for an hour, make a note, sticky note, put it on your screen or your computer top there that says, breathe deeply every 10 minutes. If you don't do that, your brain wants to sit. It wants to. Your brain never goes to sleep. Even when you're asleep, it's still using the same amount of energy as when you're awake, trying to solve problems and that sort of thing. So being sedentary may be something that your body wants to do, your brain is telling you to do, but you can teach yourself to do differently. And so taking control of your life, like you take control of your financial situation, of your kids' school, of those kinds of, those kinds of things can help you take control of your positive brain activities. Let's see. One of the really important things to do is learn something new every single day. When you do that, it exercises activities in the brain. It appears to also postpone the onset of any kind of dementia or Alzheimer's. And it also increases the hormones in your body that reduce inflammation. So brain activity, keeping those things going, not only helps your body dramatically, but it also, that positive attitude can get set in your brain itself. I would also recommend that find something humorous every day to do. Bob and I were part of a book club that read a book that I really didn't think a whole lot about. It was called Unoffendable. I didn't think it was a very good book, but it had a real impact on me. One of the things that just really annoys me is when somebody, and I'm sure that you all have had this experience, I'm a pretty safe driver, and I always leave a space between my car and the car in front of me, and invariably somebody will cut in front of me, right? Anybody had that experience? And I would blow my horn and say, what are you doing? You're going to cause the... My wife and I got stopped and a car pulled in like that in front of me. And I said, I'll bet, and it was a little bitty car with a spoiler on the back. What do you need a spoiler on the back of a little bitty car? And I said, I bet that's an orthopedic surgeon on his way to Norfolk General Hospital, that there's been a major emergency down there. And we started laughing about it. And that's become a habit now. I came to realize my blowing the horn, my being upset, is not going to change that person one bit. What it's doing is it is disturbing my hormonal issues, my mental health issues, and I can change that by putting something humorous in there and laughing about it. That makes me a healthier, more mentally stable, happier kind of person. Anytime you can put humor in your life there, you're doing yourself an incredible job. And with the people that we serve who are isolated, they're alone, they're feeling, that when is this all going to change? We can help them change by putting these things in, helping them put these things in their own lives. So there's just so much that we can do from a positive psychology standpoint. I ran into a colleague of mine yesterday who has an adopted child who is on a scholarship to a state university, and she was having some academic problems in her psychology class. And he said, "How can anybody have problems in psychology class?" And I said, "Well, that's what I spent 30-something years doing." It's one thing to learn that. It's another one to how do you apply it? And that's what I would try to get over to you. We have a lot of techniques now to help the people that we serve and we work with, to help them with a positive lifestyle instead of a negative lifestyle. Let me stop with that. I could keep going and going. There are all kinds of tricks, but if you have any questions of any kind, or Bob, you want to lead me into anything? You're muted.
For the sake of the world, how do you? Okay, let's talk about the caregiver, because everybody on this call, I can predict, has a moment of weariness. So how do you deal with that moment of weariness? Because you're out there somebody made the comment, I commented that I was really tired. And somebody said, "I can't believe you're finally being honest." Because we have to keep that happy face when we're in front of our clients.
Let me answer that in two ways, Bob. And that's a great point. We all get tired. But let me answer that in two ways. One is everybody needs 8 hours sleep at night. Everybody. You may say that, oh, the job is so stressful. I have got so much to do. I've got this, that, and the other. But we now know that loss of sleep is very dangerous, both from a psychological standpoint and from a physical standpoint. We all need most people need 8 hours sleep at night, good sleep. And one of the things that means is you turn off your phone. I know some people that sleep with their cell phones on. Well, one of the things that happens is you've got all these buzzes that are coming in through the night, and you can't get a good restful sleep. Turn those things off an hour before you need to go to sleep. Turn them off. Turn the TV off an hour before you need to go to sleep. If you need to read a book, you can read a book. But the blue light from the television and from your phones disturbs the melatonin, the circadian rhythms in your brain. So we all need, all of us need a good 8-hour sleep. Some people with certain genetic characteristics can get by with 7. But I know people who say, oh no, I only need 6 hours sleep. Oh, I have 5 hours sleep. You can't get by with that for very long, Bob. The other thing is, yes, it's important to assist the people that we work with. It is absolutely important, but it's also important to be authentic. And that means not always having that smile. There are times when you can say to people that we work with, you know, there's just so much going on for me. But let me tell you what I do to get through it. Let me model. My dissertation had to do with modeling or social learning. And yes, I'm under a lot of stress. Let me tell you the things that I do to help me get through this. One of the things that I think is a great thing that people can do is find cartoons on the TV. I love Tom and Jerry. I think, you know, yes, they're old. Yes, there's some things about hitting each other over the head and all of that. But as an adult, I understand what that's all about. And I think it's just really funny. Ironically, I think I saw news that they're going to actually make a movie of Tom and Jerry coming up soon. Now, why would somebody spend the money to make a whole movie of Tom and Jerry if there was not a market out there for it? Now, they may not know why the market is there, but I think it's because we are all searching for this kind of humor that we can apply to our lives. So Bob, the short answer is it's as important to be authentic to people that we work with, as long as we're modeling positive health and positive mental health. Does that answer it? Okay. Anybody else? I did such a great job. Nobody has any questions.
Do you have your podcast? Are you doing this on a regular basis? Because you are awesome. I love you. Absolutely love you.
Well, I appreciate that, and I don't have a podcast, but I can work with Bob, and we can try to do things like this.
Please do something, because people like you are very hard to find. I've done pastoral counseling for many, many years, and people like you that have these type of tips really help people like me who deal with situations that are very heavy. And I needed this today. I needed this today. I'm so thankful for you. Thank you for taking this time. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. One of the things that like I said, you know, I was a professor for 12 years, and then other work. And then even while I was at the CSB, I taught some classes, and then I went back for another 10 years. And one of the things, and I taught primarily courses in addiction. And one of the things that I spent a lot of time, not a lot of time, but I spent, you know, a third of a class at least with the students is talking about self-care. Anybody who's worked in the mental health or addictions field, and you guys that working with seniors knows, is that there's never enough emotional resource out there. It is absolutely essential that you have your own personal self-care plan. You've got to have that self-care plan. One of the things that I did for a number of years was I was really heavily into sailing. And I would when I would go sailing, I would never take my phone with me because there was always somebody who was having a disaster or something going on. And I needed time to get away from that and refill my gas tank, to apply some of these kinds of things. And I can't, we all know a number of professionals in the behavioral health care field who have, because of the stresses and all have gotten into drugs or alcohol or divorce or mental health problems and that sort of thing. So you've got to have your own, every one of you have to have your own organized self-care plan that includes these kind of things. And there are other things that other kinds of tips that I could talk about. But you can go on Google and Google up positive psychology. And there are just lots and lots of resources out there already about positive self-care.
Thank you so much, George. I think so many of us could benefit from the advice given today. And what better way to start with self-care than just reminding yourself to breathe? I know there's plenty of times where I feel stressed, or I won't even recognize that I'm feeling stressed until I recognize that I'm not breathing. And I'm like, how long have I been going without breathing? And obviously not that long. But when I take that first breath, it makes me realize that I wasn't. And so, and that's such an important thing. And we, in our fields where we're doing so much of giving to other people, it is so important that we refuel ourselves, like George speaks about. And these are some simple tricks that go a very long way in all that we do. And so,
could I guys say something, add something about what you're talking? Shallow breathing and fast breathing, shallow breathing is a natural response to stress. Our brain is designed to fight or flight, right? Now we live in a world where we're not chased by saber-toothed tigers and that sort of thing, but our body still responds to stress by going. And what that does is it doesn't allow the blood to get the carbon dioxide out of it and replenish with enough oxygen. That's the reason that one of the tips is put a sign on your, a sticky on your screen there, or on your watch, or on your cell phone that says breathe, breathe, breathe. And that means sitting up, shoulders back. Do that 3 or 4 times every 20 or 30 minutes. And even if you're under stress, what that will do is slow the heart down. It'll slow everything down. It'll allow us to replenish and get more blood to our brain. So, I mean, what you're talking about, shallow, fast breathing, is a natural physiological response to our brain.
I know. It's just so funny how I'll recognize it, and then how much better I feel when I'm able to stop that and take control of it, like you said. And when, especially now in a world where so much feels out of control, what we do control is our outlook and how we interact and engage with what is around us. And so remaining positive, even when somebody might be looking at you slightly crazy, like, what are you smiling about? Well, I have a lot to smile about, and it doesn't make me naive to what's going around, and not empathetic or sympathetic to what's going on. But for me to continue in my path, I have to be that way. Otherwise, I will be at home wallowing and not being any good to anybody. So, and George, one of the things you made me think of, this was definitely very insightful. And one of the things I thought of is what if we went into our meetings with our friends or our colleagues, or when we walk in to meet with a client, and first spoke about what we're grateful for? If we open a meeting with, hello, my name is Brandy and I'm grateful for this. What are you grateful for today? Imagine the connections that we would have with those people moving forward. The meeting would be open, we would be more connected, we would be connected on a more personal level. And that would be, even I think about with my team, you know, we walk in and we start, all right, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this. And then, you know, even just talking like that, I'm like, and I'm like, if we walked in and we said, hey guys, let's take a deep breath and just take a moment and say what we're grateful for today. Let's go around the room. I'll start, you know, similarly to what we naturally started doing in the chat when you started talking about it. We want to feel this way. We want to feel grateful. We want to give, and we want to share that feeling with others. And so I think I'm going to try and implement that. Maybe not every single meeting, because that becomes a lot, but definitely trying to implement it more in my meetings, because I think that it would open us up to even better, more productive conversations. Because if you walk into a meeting slightly tense for whatever reason, you've had something on your mind about what you're about to talk about or what have you, getting that positivity out in front might change the projection of your whole conversation. So
it's not a might be, it will do it.
And that's worth trying.
It will set the tone. One of the things I started off today by saying, you know, what a gloomy day, but tomorrow is going to be sunny and in the 50s. How beautiful is that? I did that intentionally. You know, we have to live intentionally. We have to have we have to take control of the emotional state. You know, marketers, people that are trying to sell products and stuff like that, they know this stuff. You know, when you go buy a box of cereal, they've got this beautiful tiger on the front of it there to make you look at it. Marketing people are the best psychologists in the world. They know what works. So we need to start applying these same kind of positive psychology things to our workplace, as well as with our the people that we work with.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much, George. I'm sure we could talk about this for hours. So, especially with somebody as educated and insightful as you. So, thank you so much for joining us today. It really was a pleasure. And
thank you.
Needed. So we will move on with the agenda. It's hard to follow that with some mundane stuff like treasury reports.
It's going to be positive. All right. I'm leaving you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you, George. Thank you. Have a great day and a great weekend.
Oh, I plan to.
That's wonderful. All right. So in more good news, we do have some new members. Membership has grown over the past several days. So we'll let Iris give us an update on membership.
Hi there. So I'm excited to announce that we have 5 new paid members. And I know that there are some people who have been trying to process their memberships today, but currently paid memberships total 13.
That's wonderful. We're already ahead of last year. I think I'm kidding. I don't think we're.
Hey, it's a laugh track, Brandy. That works.
It was a joke, but still, you know, please continue to invite people to join the group. Just like we had those George speak, we're trying very hard this year to step up our speaker game a little bit and have some more interesting topics, since we are on a screen, and not just for that, but to engage people. And then moving forward, sorry, I got distracted. Hope Lomax Jones, would you please give us a treasurer report and the vice chair report, since you're a dual role?
All right, sure. For the treasurer report first, we have our starting balance of $1,095.81. Since our board meeting, we had an expense of our PO box of $148. We also had an influx of PayPal memberships, which is awesome. We just had this week $114.46. So that's some activity that we've had for an ending balance of 1102.27 in our checking, and in our savings we have 250.47. Some of our upcoming expenses that we will have is going to be Weebly coming up in April, and that will be $329.95. And also, I was going back through some of our finances, and excuse me, we have an outstanding check for $400. So if we have both of those to come through, and of course, fingers crossed, everyone will rejoin. But if those two items come through by the end of April or right after April, we'll have $521.85. Once again, right now our balance is 1102, and we have 250.47 in savings. So we're looking pretty good right now. We have 1352.74 as a combined total in treasurer in our savings. So also, let's see, in the fall, we have another expense. So right now we have two expenses. We have Weebly and we have the post office. We don't have to worry about another one after Weebly clears out, which manages our website until November. Moving on with the Speakers Bureau, I really appreciate everyone as a team coming together to help fill the slots. And as Brandy stated, we are trying to increase our topics and, of course, get some new topics. So our next meeting topic will be Sarah Delgado with APS. I think she may have presented to us before. Pretty much APS, who we are and what they do, and when to call APS and what to expect. So we will have her for our March meeting presentation. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you, Hope, appreciate that. Amy doesn't have anything to update the group with, I don't believe. Cynthia Tyler's unable to join us this morning, but she has updated the website, and she continues to do so as we add speakers and topics. So please check the website regularly. It also hosts our link, so if you ever want to invite somebody to the meeting, you can send them either to Facebook or to the Norfolk Task Force on Aging website, which is norfolktaskforceonaging.com. We went as simple as we could. and so our link is on the schedule page. So it's always available to anybody that wants to join us. One of the board's initiatives this year was to encourage seniors to participate with the task force so that we could hear more from the seniors in the community. And so that's partly why we've made everything so public. The other things to speak about, we are seeking a treasurer. Pam DeShong had to unfortunately resign from the board. So we are seeking a treasurer. The Senior Resource Guide is something that Norfolk has, that the task force has helped with for some time. It kind of got derailed with the pandemic. And so I'm trying to find a way to get it back on track. And so the board has tossed around some ideas, one of which is to reach out to some of the schools like ODU, NSU, ECPI, and perhaps Stratton Bryant, to engage some interns to help with the project. The other option that we're looking at is to reach out to the Norfolk Family Justice Center, since they have interns available also. So we're looking for social worker students or any human health service to help it. And I would be willing to talk with professors or deans to see if it might be something worth credits or what have you, and what we would need to do for that to support them as well while they support us. So that is kind of what we're doing. I told you guys about 45th anniversary in May. So please make sure you put it on your calendar. And then there's two things. So unfortunately, we forgot to have April Marshall and Sandy White introduce themselves. So if they're able to now, I would invite you to do that. I'm sorry, April, we're not able to hear you. April is with United Healthcare. She has been a longtime member of the Norfolk Task Force. And April, if you get a moment to email me, I'll be sure to share anything that you would like to announce to the group. Sandy, are you available? Okay. Sandy White works with Bob Batcher at Prime Plus. She's the Adult Day Services manager, director. I think she's the director. And so she oversees the Emmy Cox programming as well as the Adult Day Services in Norfolk. They've done a great job mitigating COVID-19 throughout since they've opened. And so we're happy to see you guys able to support the community. It's a much needed service. So, and I know Emmy Cox is doing very well. If you know anybody that would benefit from a very cost-effective approach to day services for an adult, especially people with dementia or Alzheimer's, so that they can get some social interaction and maybe give the caregiver a break, I encourage you to ask them to go see Adult Day Services at Prime Plus in Norfolk. So we tend to forget that option is available. And it can be very cost effective, especially when matched with home care or some other service. So it's a good way to stretch some funds if you know somebody that's working with a pretty tight budget. Kate?
Well, Brandy, I got to tell, Sandy is double tasking right now. She's listening to the meeting, but doing the DSS inspection. Under the new guys, they put all the work on us and then they review it virtually.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Mikkel. I didn't think about Virginia Wesleyan. We are so fortunate to have so many good schools in our area, seriously. And I believe Virginia Wesleyan sits like right on the corner. I think they're Virginia Beach too, but it doesn't really matter. So
the parking lot is Norfolk and the campus is Virginia Beach.
Yeah. That's where I went, so I'm happy to reach out.
Oh, I didn't know that, Mikkel. Please, any support that you guys have, if you know some good contacts, you can either send them to me or reach out to them and speak to them and let them know that we're seeking interns to help with the project. We're even seeking somebody to help with graphic design and placement. So somebody that can design the guide a little bit better than the way that it has been in the past, which anything's better than Microsoft Word for a magazine. So it's not a high bar to set.
Brandy, I noticed that Micah's on this meeting too, because it's ironic. I go to the Mayor's Commission on Aging in Virginia Beach and in Norfolk. Both commissions have the exact same issue. And for a former Norfolk PR guy to say this, I'm pretty confident that a lot of the services that are available to a senior in Norfolk or a senior in Virginia Beach are the exact same. And this might be an opportunity where the two task forces could work together.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. So,
hey, Brandy, do you have a connection with ECPI?
I don't.
Okay, I do have.
I have one.
The campus director of career services. Her name is Michelle Winnie. And she always asks me to forward our job postings when we send out the now hiring so that she can work with them on their career.
That would be wonderful. If you guys would email me, Brandy, Brandi, m as in Michelle .smith@outlook.com. I would love to talk to anybody and everybody I can. So, because I really want to get this project out. I feel like COVID has probably changed a large number of the services that are listed currently, especially things like food programs and pantries, wardrobe closets, free meals, stuff like that, homeless assistance. So, and I think Amy had something she wanted to share too. Or, okay, I'm sorry. I thought I saw you come off mute for a moment. So anywho, that is all that I have. Does anybody have any announcements they would like to, I'm sorry, Kate had a question that she wanted to ask.
So a couple things actually, as you went on, I was like, yay, the bullets. I'm happy to speak with you about the treasurer position if you'd like. So after this meeting, we can talk about that. Also, our new program director, Stacy, is a social worker and an alum of NSU, which also has a significant, social work degree program. And I know she talked about interns and that kind of thing. So happy to connect. I will connect the two of you after this meeting, and she can be a resource for you there. She's always happy to get her alma mater involved with things. And then finally, the Weebly charge, that's our website, right? Where when we were overviewing that, is that a yearly? Is that how much it is yearly? Okay, I know that I know the person in charge of the website is not on this call right now, but that's another thing I'd love to talk with you about offline. That was about how much we were paying, actually more. And I just switched our providers and everything. We kept the same domain and everything, but now it's like $300 for 3 years. So I just figured that, with our budget, every penny is helpful, and we can, save some money, and then push that maybe towards that collaboration of the resource guide with Micah and the Virginia Beach Task Force. Micah's like waving, so I'm wondering if he's like.
No, that's wonderful. Yeah, I would love to talk to you.
Multitasking. I'm multitasking.
Okay. I was like, is he like flagging us down?
Well,
We're distracting him.
He's also yelling coffee in the chat, so I think he's excited.
Yeah,
But,
Kate,
I think it's time to cut him
I'm
off.
grateful.
I don't know.
I'm showing gratefulness.
I
Okay?
love it.
I'm so far away from the camera, you can't see expressions.
No, we really
Well,
can't.
we can see.
Can you say decaf?
Kate, thank you so much. I would love to talk to you. I know I'm busy throughout the rest of the day, and then next week I'm in several conferences, and then I'm also very grateful that I'm getting my second dose of the vaccine next week. So I anticipate being out for like a day and a half, and then the rest of the week I'm pretty packed with the conferences that I'm in. But please email me the first week of March. I have quite a bit open. I know a couple of people have reached out. So please, thank you, Micah, for becoming a member. Appreciate you.
That's perfect, Brandy.
Email me and let's coordinate, because I would like to be able to have a time where I could actively pay attention and have good conversations. So.
Yeah, no,
and if
that's
we
perfect.
could,
I'll be in Wyoming the first week of March. I'll be back and not like running around like a crazy person. Like
Perfect.
I
Wonderful.
just wanted to add that if I could definitely get sent that information as well to compare to what we have for the website. If we could do, cut that into 3 years, like 100 a year versus 329, that would be super. So we really appreciate that resource. Would like to take care of that before we get billed that. It's been hitting us about April. So the sooner the better. So if you could send that to both me and Brandy, or we could all three of us meet, that would be great.
Sure. If you would, Kate, just include Hope, because we should talk with Hope also about the treasurer position. So it'd be best that the three of us get together anyway. So perfect. Thank you. Iris, I think you had something you wanted to add. Okay. Well, wonderful, you guys. We are right on time, which is what I love. So thank you, everybody that became a member today. And this will be my last push for now. Please please send more members our way. And look to hear from us in the weekly announcements. And then we will see everybody on the 19th of March at 8:45 a.m. So thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend, and share some of the positive things that we learned today with the people that you care most about. I will be uploading the recording to our YouTube page and to our Facebook page and sharing it in the weekly announcements as well. So have a great day.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye. Have a great weekend.
Bye. Great weekend.
Bye.
Stay dry.